Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz, and this is Ron's Bank Shot Breakdown. We're going to go over 5 college basketball games for Wednesday, January 11th, 2023. Now, if you like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to put your college basketball picks in the comments section below. And if you're looking for my best bets, you can always find those at the Premium Picks tab at pickdawgz.com. Alrighty, let's get into it. Here are the games for Wednesday in college basketball. First up, we see Richmond and Davidson. This one's going to be 7 o'clock Eastern on ESPN+. You know, we knew this was going to be a rebuilding year for Davidson this season. Last year, they were an at-large team in the NCAA tournament. They were a 10 seed, and going into this year, they lost 3 of the top 4 players, arguably, on that roster. They also had to replace a legendary head coach, Bob McKillop, but Matt McKillop is doing an okay job, I think, for Davidson this year, and, you know, it's going to be a tough one. A lot of production lost from last year's roster, but you know, I look at the matchups that Davidson's played in A-10 play. They've played some tough defenses, and recently VCU and Dayton, they lost both of those games by double digits, but I do think those are 2 of the top defenses in the conference. You can throw in St. Louis in that conversation as well, but you know, you look at Richmond on the other side, they played some weaker teams, at least defensively, so far in conference play, in George Mason, George Washington, and Duquesne, and you know, this is a true road game here. Davidson's always going to be tough to beat when they're playing at home, and I still think Davidson has enough firepower offensively to grab a W in this game. This is a really important game for really both teams. Davidson 2-2 right now in conference play. Richmond's on a 2-game win streak, but like I said, playing some of the weaker teams in the conference. I do worry about Richmond's defense in this matchup. I do think it's a little bit overrated. Right now ranked 80th in adjusted defensive efficiency according to KenPom, but I think we're going to see a slip outside the top 100 by the end of the year, not forcing virtually any turnovers, so really just benefiting off teams having poor shooting nights against them. 92nd ranked in effective field goal percentage defense. It's a good rebounding team on the defensive end, but I think Davidson's good enough in this spot to grab a W. I think we're going to see a much better shooting performance. You look at some of the games that they played. You look at the last game against VCU. VCU shot 15 of 24, 62.5%. That's something we never see, and that's from three-point land. We never see that from VCU teams, but Davidson was 2 of 11, 18%. I think we see a sharper performance from the Wildcats. Give me Davidson laying the points. Next up, we see Creighton and Xavier. This one's going to be a 7 o'clock Eastern start time on Fox Sports 1. You know, Creighton, I think that 6-game losing streak is well behind this team. You know, they went on a 3-game win streak in conference play, beating 2 top 100 teams in Butler and Seton Hall. Now, those games were at home, granted, but you know, last time out was a true road game against one of the nation's best teams in UConn. And although Creighton did not cover the number in the end, they still kept it with a reasonable number. You know, 69-60 was the final score, a 9-point game. And in that game, Creighton just had a really bad night shooting the ball. They were 2 of 16 from 3. That's 12.5%. You're never going to cover numbers in true road games against teams like UConn with that kind of shooting performance. But now you're going up against a Xavier team that's ranked 297th in the nation in three-point defense. Opposing teams are shooting 36.3% from deep against Xavier this season. I think Creighton has shown, you know, in Big East play at least, where they're 3-2 now with a winning record, I think they've shown they can compete with some of the better teams in the conference, and I think they're going to play well in this game and at least cover the number, if not earn the outright upset victory. I'm going to take Creighton here plus the points. I think this team has consistently been undervalued because of that 6-game losing streak. Give me the Blue Jays here plus the points. Next up, we see Charleston and UNC Wilmington, 7 o'clock Eastern. This should be a great matchup. I really wanted to cover it on the breakdown, even though it's not my favorite in terms of value. You know, these are 2 of the hotter teams in college hoops, Division I college hoops. Charleston's on a 15-game win streak, which is the nation's longest active win streak. And you look at UNC Wilmington, they're on a 13-game win streak, which is the second longest streak in college hoops. So 2 red-hot teams going at it in this game. I do think Charleston is the better side. I think they're going to grab a W in this one. I think UNC Wilmington's defense a little bit overrated right now, and I think one of the big edges that Charleston's going to have in this game is getting to the free throw line. UNC Wilmington's had some issues fouling quite a bit on defense, and Charleston's a good free throw shooting team, 60th in the country, 74.8% as a team this season. I also think that Charleston has a big advantage on the boards, both the offensive and defensive glass, where Charleston's ranked 27th right now in offensive rebounding percentage, while UNC Wilmington outside the top 160. So I do think we're going to see a lot of second chance opportunities, which can also lead to plenty of and one layups or dunks off an offensive board. And like I said, UNC Wilmington having issues fouling on defense. That could definitely be a difference maker in this game. I also look at the pace of play with these two teams. Very, very different styles of basketball. Charleston's ranked 59th and 84th in average possession length on offense and defense, while Wilmington likes to slow things down, 338th in the country in average possession length on offense. It's going to be interesting to see which style and which tempo is going to win the day. I do think Charleston is the better team, so I think it's going to be a little bit of a faster paced game. I don't really love UNC Wilmington's chances if that's the case. So give me Charleston in this one. I'm going to take them on the money line. Next up, we see LaSalle and UMass. This one's going to be 7 o'clock Eastern on ESPN+. We took LaSalle on the money line against Rhode Island here on the breakdown, and it was also a premium play for me. And they got the job done for us. They earned that win 77-75 in overtime. But I watched that game, and I got to say, I really was not impressed with LaSalle. And I always say, don't fall in love with teams in college basketball. We're willing to take teams and then fade them the next game, and that's exactly what I'm looking at right now. I think LaSalle's going to lose this game by a pretty good margin. I'm willing to lay the points here with UMass. Even though LaSalle is a very good coach team with Fran Dunphy, a head coach, I don't think it's going to be enough here. UMass is a very good defensive team. They're also a very good rebounding team. And although LaSalle did a great job on the offensive boards against Rhode Island, they had 20 offensive rebounds in that game. They also conceded 19 offensive rebounds to Rhode Island in that game. So, I do think that's going to be an issue here for a very good offensive rebounding team like UMass, a very good defensive team like UMass, and an offensive team that I think is a little bit underrated. There's plenty of perimeter shooters on this roster. Some injuries have hurt this team overall, but I think UMass is going to earn a feel-good blowout win in this game. So I'm willing to lay the points here with the Minutemen. And the final game we're going to talk about for Wednesday's card in college basketball, it's going to be Abilene Christian and UT Rio Grande Valley. This one's 7:30 Eastern on ESPN+. When I see these teams playing against each other, I think of one word, and that is volatility. Usually we see a lot of high-scoring games in this matchup. Last year's first meeting, 87-85 final score. I'm going to take the over in this game as well. One of the big reasons why usually these teams play in high-scoring games is, UT Rio Grande Valley is not really that bad of a shooting team. They're ranked 167th in effective field goal percentage, a pretty good offensive rebounding team as well, but they have big issues turning the ball over. 339th right now this season in turnover percentage on offense. Last year was 316th. And Abilene Christian, that's exactly what they look to do on defense, is force a ton of turnovers. Usually they're around the top 20 in the country, let alone the WAC conference, in forcing turnovers. And right now they're ranked 21st in the nation. So we should expect to see plenty of fast break opportunities, a lot of quick buckets on the other end. Last year's matchups, we saw Rio Grande Valley turn the ball over 27 times in the first meeting and then 24 times in the next meeting. So I wouldn't be surprised to see 20, 25 turnovers in this game and a lot of fast break layups on the other side. The contrary to that, though, is because Abilene Christian is so aggressive defensively, they naturally take a lot of fouls in their games. We saw it last year, we're seeing it this year, and UT Rio Grande Valley, one of the best teams in Division I college hoops at getting to the free throw line. And we saw last year's meetings between these two teams. Rio Grande Valley had 32 free throw attempts in the first meeting, and then they had 34 in the next meeting. Even though this is not the best free throw shooting team in the country, that's for sure, I still think we're going to see a lot of opportunities for the Vaqueros at the free throw line in this game. So, we're going to see a lot of fast break scoring, a lot of times where the clock stops, and we see some free throws really from both teams. In the first meeting, ACU had 30 free throws themselves. And even though these teams are not the best shooting teams in the country, I think we're going to see a lot of scoring. And also, you add to the fact that both teams play at a pretty fast pace, especially Abilene Christian. So give me the over in this ACU UT RGV matchup. And that's it. Those are the games for Wednesday in college basketball. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. And don't forget to put your college basketball picks in the comments section below. Again, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at Pick Dawgz Premium. As always, this is Ron Romanelli. Good luck.